Getting divorced from you was definitely the right choice. You and your kid are as pathetic as ever. Haha.
My ex-husband seems to just want to boast about himself. He doesn't even bother asking how we're doing.
Oh, right. Let me introduce you. Hey, this is Sarah, my new wife.
He introduces me to his new spouse. What is he thinking?
So, are we done here? Okay then, bye-bye.
Hold on a sec.
As I try to leave, my ex-husband blocks my path.
And then, what's the matter? Jealous that we're happy? Don't let your poverty twist your soul? Haha, you're going to get more miserable.
My ex-husband presumes that I must be unhappy. I'm past the point of being angry. Now I just find him repulsive.
Why should we just fire this guy?
I'm Karen. I'm currently 42 years old. I married Mike, a colleague from the same company, when I was 26. I continued working after marriage but left the job when I got pregnant. We had a son named John. He's 7 years old and in elementary school, so child rearing has settled down a bit. I was thinking it might be a good time to work again, so I talked to Mike about it. When I suggested going back to work, it seemed like my husband had been waiting for that moment. He agreed immediately. I think he figures that me working will definitely ease the financial burden on the household, but now he's getting pushy about me finding a job.
Have you found something yet? You've been looking properly. Just get any job.
So it seems like he really just wants me to get working already.
Why not work full time? If it's too much, you don't have to 5 days a week. How about 3 days in 8 hours?
But if I work too much, I won't be under your insurance anymore, and John still needs me. He gets home early, you know?
Mike suggested that we could simply enroll John in after-school programs. If being off the insurance is a concern, he recommends working full-time, 5 days a week. It seems like he just wants to keep me working for as long as possible. I'm the one who said I wanted to work, so I can't really argue, but I do have some anxiety since I haven't worked for years. Ideally, even if I decide to work full-time, I want to ease into it gradually. For now, I've decided to work part-time, about 20 hours a week, with the intention of eventually working full-time a few years down the line. Mike complained that I should work full-time right away, but he reluctantly agreed when I said I would consider it if my stamina holds up. I was pleasantly surprised that he was so concerned about our finances, even if I was initially annoyed. I was pleased that he was getting involved in my job search, as it's better to have a partner who thinks about our financial situation for the long run. But I would later realize that my perception was wrong. A few months after I started my part-time job, I received a shocking text message from an old colleague who still works with Mike. The message claimed to have seen Mike with another woman who seemed very close to him. It even included a photo attachment. My heart was pounding as I looked at the photo, and I immediately recognized Mike in the picture, arm in arm with a woman I had never seen before. Even if I knew her, the fact that they were arm in arm would be a deal breaker for me. Corrections. As I was staring in shock at the photo, another message came in, revealing that the woman was the boss's daughter and an employee at our company. The message from my coworker clearly enjoyed the gossip, but I just thanked her and closed the messaging app. I never thought my husband would cheat on me, but thinking it over, there were plenty of warning signs. Especially since Mike had been pushing me to work more, even when I was struggling with childcare, probably to free up more time for his affair. Victorious the next day, when he returned, I confronted him immediately, showing him the photo and demanding an explanation. I knew it would be smarter to gather evidence quietly if I was planning on divorcing him, but I just couldn't pretend everything was fine.
What's the meaning of this?
When I showed him the photo, he was taken aback for a moment, but then quickly regained his composure.
How you found out? Well, it is what it is. You see it.
Frankly, I was surprised, as I had expected something different.
The woman is actually the boss's daughter. The boss is destined for higher positions. You get what I'm saying?
At population, I would benefit more from marrying her. She's younger and prettier than I am.
Yeah, well, that settles it. I'm thinking of divorcing you. It's a bit earlier than planned, but it works. So
We got divorced. I didn't even want to think about not divorcing him after all that. I took a good chunk of alimony, considering it healthier for my mental well-being. He paid the alimony without fuss, and nearly all our assets went to me. Naturally, I also gained custody of John. He seemed to think it was no big deal since he was planning to marry the boss's daughter. Before leaving, he said, "Good luck living the poor life. You won't get far as a single mom, ha ha ha." To joining the ranks of the wealthy. The boss is rich, after all. We won't be seeing each other again, but try to scrape by. But to say that when he has a son of his own, his words were unbelievable. I was truly relieved to be rid of such a man. Though emotionally relieved, my day-to-day life became challenging. But even with the alimony and assets, I didn't have much in the way of savings, so I needed to get back to work and fast. I couldn't manage on a part-time job, so I had to go full-time. I felt guilty for John, but had him go to after-school care. Finding myself working full-time, life became a lot more challenging, both mentally and physically. Switching to an unfamiliar job, then having to handle all the household chores on my own, my life had changed drastically. Time flew by in the daily hustle and bustle before I knew it. 7 years had passed since the divorce. People adapt, and so did we. See, now that John's in middle school, he can pretty much take care of himself. Because of my hectic schedule, he's become much more mature compared to other boys his age, it seems. He even does cooking and laundry for us. I was liberated from the daily grind of housework and childcare, and for the past few years, I've had time for myself. Things are going really well for me, both personally and professionally. I can say this for certain. Breaking up with that guy was the right decision. Breaking up with him was absolutely the right decision. If I had stayed married to such a terrible man, I wouldn't have this life I'm enjoying now. One day, while shopping at the local mall with my son, I ran into him. It was my ex-husband, Mike. Actually, I hadn't noticed him, but he approached me saying, "Hey, isn't that you, Karen? Long time no see. You've aged quite a bit, LLL." Who says that to someone they haven't seen in years, especially to a woman? No one with any social grace would ever say that. just from this comment, it's clear he hasn't matured at all as a person. I was annoyed within seconds of meeting him and responded sarcastically.
What? You're one to talk. You've aged so much, I hardly recognized you.
To be honest, Mike really had aged quite a bit. I hadn't seen him in 7 years, but it looked like he had aged twice as much. His hair had thinned, and he had a total middle-aged dad body.
Knowing that talking to my ex was a waste of time, I said, well, long time no see, but I don't have any particular business with you, so let's leave it at that, and tried to move away.
He wouldn't let it go and blocked my way, starting to blabber on.
Come on, don't be cold. We're all family here. Let's, catch up a bit.
Was it clear he really didn't want to hear anything about his life? But the only thing I'd like to bring up is that he stopped paying child support a few years after our divorce. That's not my right. It's our son. John's, I was irritated that he had the audacity to talk like that in front of John.
Thought since we split, I remarried with Sarah. You know, the girl on the photo. Daughter of the manager. Oh, he's an executive now, and they promoted me to manager. I'm on top now.
Frankly, I don't care how successful he's become, and I'm certainly not envious. I just find it annoying. I would venture to say that I was even angry at him for not paying child support, even though he had risen to the top of his career.
Look at you two, still looking like you're struggling. I'm making $200,000 a year, LL.
It seemed like all he wanted to do was boast. He didn't even bother asking about us. You'd think a parent would be interested in their child's well-being, but he didn't even acknowledge John, who was right there. What a terrible father. He introduced me to his new spouse. I can't believe he has the nerve to introduce her to me. In a twisted way, this is the woman who stole my husband when we were married. I don't really mind that we woke up now, but back then, it was a shocker. And yeah, there were times I held a grudge.
Oh, this is my current wife, Sarah. Isn't she way more beautiful than you? Sure, I'll introduce you.
I immediately recognized her. I had seen her in a picture before. Yeah, that's his new wife.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I didn't even glance at her, let alone greet her.
Hold on a minute.
Stop it. I don't care about your family life, so why should you care about mine?
Hey, are you just jealous? Because we look happy being poor doesn't mean you should be bitter. You know, you'll only end up more miserable.
So mind your own business. I'm perfectly happy, thank you very much. The most unfortunate thing lately has been you talking to me.
Well, happiness is subjective, but being poor can be fun, right? Don't stress.
If a single mom like you can be happy, then who could be unhappy? Seriously, with your situation, good luck remarrying. Just so you know, I do care about you as an ex-husband. And C says this, the expression on my ex-husband's face is the complete opposite of concerned. He's completely mocking me. Looking at the face of his new wife, she's smirking too. I could never be. We're friends with this woman. She gets a kick out of looking down on people.
My ex-husband is either trying to suck up to his new wife or genuinely praising her in comparison to me. Well, since she has helped him move up in the world, he probably praises her every chance he gets. What a pathetic man.
You're a real low-tier woman. I can't believe he married you.
His wife mocks me despite just meeting me. It's a despicable act. I just want to get out of there before I say something I'll regret. But my ex-husband is still blocking my way.
Just so you know, they were still madly in love. And to the chance of getting back together with you is zero. Don't get your hopes up.
My ex-husband seems to be under some delusion. He still thinks I'm holding a torch for him even though his cheating caused our divorce 7 years ago. His head is so full of roses and rainbows, I can't even say anything.
Hey, are you speechless? Because you're shocked? Being a desirable man is tough, huh?
In his middle-aged, completely average looks, what's desirable? I'm past being angry. No, it's just disgusting. As I remain silent, my ex-husband attempts to say something else.
Can we just fire this guy?
Oh, what?
My ex-husband looks dumbfounded by what John has just said. He looks really pissed calling his own dad this guy. Well, I don't blame him.
Shut what do you mean fire me? Do you even know what that means? Your mom doesn't have the authority to fire me. Aren't you in middle school? Maybe you should hit the books, huh?
Upon ex-husband belittles John. I can tolerate him mocking me, but insulting my beloved son is unforgivable. Just as I'm about to explode with anger, I hear a voice calling me.
L7 side T1007. Okay, what's going on here?
The man approaches calling out. My ex-husband freezes upon seeing his face.
Why here, boss?
My ex-husband questions the man standing before him.
What do you mean, Miles? I'm just here. I'm shopping with my family. You make it sound like I shouldn't be here, huh?
No, I apologize. I didn't mean it like that. I was just curious because you were talking. And my ex-wife.
Well, that makes sense. She's my current wife. You know.
What? She is... I mean, this is your wife. I can't believe it.
The truth is, I had remarried my ex-husband's company's CEO about 3 years ago after his wife had passed away. We first grew close when I was grocery shopping, soon after my divorce. I have previously worked at the same company as my ex, so the CEO and I were acquainted. I had previously worked at the same company as my ex, so the CEO and I were acquainted. The CEO knew that my ex-husband had cheated on me with the daughter of a department head, leading to our divorce and his subsequent marriage to her. A polystrine as a man, the CEO apparently found this distasteful, but felt it wasn't his place to interfere in employees' personal matters. Then he ran into me shopping and couldn't help but reach out. I was surprised that he remembered me, given that I was just an average employee. Maybe it was because I worked at the reception desk and was easier to remember.
I think, Lovely, it looks like your marriage didn't work out, but I'm sure you'll find someone better soon.
The boss, I'm touched you remember me, but I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me.
Back then, it had been less than a year since my divorce, so I was putting on a brave face. But the CEO, experienced in life, saw through it and comforted me with kind words.
Divorce is emotionally draining, sometimes more than a marriage itself. I've never been divorced, but I felt the same emptiness after losing my spouse. There's no need for you to put up a facade.
The CEO understood the loneliness that comes with the end of a marital relationship. His words struck a chord with me, as I was navigating my own complicated emotions at the time.
Talking to me might make you feel better. Reach out anytime and we can grab dinner.
With that, he handed me his business card. I didn't contact him for about 2 years, feeling that would be too forward. But as time passed, I felt the need to talk to someone and finally decided to reach out to the seer. Despite his busy schedule, he made time for me and treated me to dinner. When I was an employee, he was just a department head, but he always had an intimidating aura, being the son of the former CEO. However, once we had dinner together, he turned out to be a pretty cool guy. He does fight meal peas. We became good friends and hung out occasionally over drinks. About a year later, he proposed to me with a serious look on his face.
You're joking, right?
I asked, assuming he was not serious, because we were drinking at the time, but he was.
At first I wanted to comfort you for your divorce, but being with you truly settles me. I haven't felt this way since my late wife passed away. To be honest, I feel like you've healed me more than the other way around. Would you consider spending the rest of your life with me?
I asked for a day to think it over and consulted with my son.
I don't mind, Mom. Just decide based on whether you like him or not, and,
Just with no objections, I decided to marry the CEO. To be honest, I really liked him. I thought of him as just a drinking buddy, but being with him also put me at ease. Since we both felt at ease with each other, I saw no obstacles to us living together. And most importantly, hearing how much he loved his late wife made me realize how deeply he can love someone. It made me think how happy I'd be to marry someone who could love me like that. To be honest, I was even a bit jealous of his late wife. And so, we became a happily married couple. Hatsu's CEO treats my son as if he were his own. They get along so well you'd think they were actually related. That's the CEO and his stepson get along so well you'd think they were biological father and son. Maybe it's because the CEO never had kids with his ex-wife. I'm genuinely happy now, just like I told my ex-husband. When my ex, upon hearing that I married the CEO, turned as white as a ghost and his lips quivered. He must have never imagined that the woman he looked down on as poors would end up married to a CEO.
oh, that is like Sam. This guy's insulting, Mom. Fire him, sir.
But John immediately rats out my ex to the CEO.
What are you? No, John. What are you talking about? We were just catching up.
But my ex tries to cover it up, but the CEO isn't fooled.
You tend to look down on people even at work. I think John's telling the truth.
I've heard bad things about you from your subordinates too. I'm considering launching an internal investigation, so be prepared. Who would have thought the CEO would take John's word for it and launch an internal investigation? He even bowed down and begged for forgiveness.
So please, I may have been a little hard on your wife. Can you hold off on the investigation?
Altering this in public must mean he really wants to avoid that investigation. But it's like admitting his guilt. The CEO isn't having any of it.
No, I'm going ahead with it. By the way, your close friend, the executive, has a bad rep too. We'll be investigating him thoroughly as well.
Upon hearing this, my ex's current wife also drops to her knees.
Please, go after him if you must, but leave my dad out of this.
Hearing this, my ex starts fighting with his wife right there.
How dare you? Are you planning to abandon me?
There are plenty of men like you. My dad is far more important.
They say a dog won't even eat a married couple's fight. It's just downright embarrassing. We didn't want to be associated with them, so we left the bickering exes and exited the store. That self? A centered couple will likely face rough times ahead. They've made their bed. Now they have to lie in it. The next day, the CEO formed a team to investigate my ex and the executive. The findings were damning. Harassment, verbal abuse, favoritism in personnel decisions. They even discovered that they'd been forcing clients to entertain them. This had been going on for years, and the numbers were staggering. Using your position of power to demand hospitality. Disgusting. It's not the 80s anymore, but using your position to benefit only yourself is totally out of line now. But both my ex and the executive lost their jobs and were reassigned to a regional office. My ex probably knew this was coming, which is why he groveled in the mall. That means he knew what he was doing. This was wrong. Doing it intentionally makes it all the more malicious. His chances of climbing the corporate ladder again are slim to none. As it turns out, both men voluntarily resigned. They probably feared retribution from the employees they'd harassed. But that's not the end. They're being sued by these employees, and with plenty of testimonies against them. They lost in court. They ended up deep in debt due to enormous damages. The wife of a man whose family fell on hard times seems to think her husband is to blame. Their marriage also went downhill. They eventually divorced. They fought almost every day, and my ex was particularly abusive toward his wife. He might even face another lawsuit for emotional damages. Watching my ex's life unravel like this, I can't help but feel that it's best to live a decent, honest life. On a happier note, I've been blessed with a child despite being 42. It's a high-risk pregnancy, but the baby is healthy, and John is thrilled to be a big brother, even helping out with feedings. We're already dreaming about them working together to bring success to the company in the future. We're both getting on in years, so raising kids from here on out is going to be tough. But when I see our child's sleeping face, all those worries just vanish. I'm truly grateful you were born. Mom's gonna give it her all. That's what I'm thinking as I face another day.